Students, I am delighted to teach ethics and humanity. I'm Clifton A. Castile. Throughout the course, you will be exploring and developing your moral consciousness. You will join those who believe their thesis is essential to preserving the country's morality. Our subtitle, The Transition of a Nation to One Race. To accomplish this goal, America will undergo a radical transition beginning this year, 1995, through the year 2050, marking 55 years of change. Many of you will witness this radical and unneeded surgery. As we venture deeper into my lectures, many of you will assume that I am a hyper-kinetic professor due to the manner of presentations. Now, this can be said with majority of my classes. How did this behavior occur? Well, I was breastfed past age 3. However, that wasn't the main concern. Instead, my mother's chest resembled that of an 8-year-old girl, which meant I missed out on vital nutrients. And my mother later admitted she still had scars showing how I fought for what I needed to be balanced. Fortunately for my mother, Child Protective Services did not exist. The Bell Curve by Charles Murray recently came out and depicts one race as superior in analytical and emotional intelligence and believed to have more morality. The theme of this book could be the motivating exemplary to encourage the nation to consider having only one race as a flourishing civilization. The word race is mostly omitted in general conversations. People claim they are colorblind. No discussions are needed, and people would rather discuss their sexual activities. To mention the word race may prompt reactions of empathy or indifference. Yet a nation that values virtue should recognize every race as a contribution. And perhaps if society engages in racial discussions, indifference and hatred will be minimum, as noted by theorists. When individuals display indifference, they are believed to be self-centered or focusing on themselves, or perhaps on loved ones, while disregarding broader moral concerns. If this occurrence is realized by the year 2050, there will be only one functioning race in this America, the most populated race, the Caucasian race. A change in society, positively or negatively, could begin with one influential individual, a politician, or a group acting as a catalyst using gaslighting. Gaslighting is an effective method of psychological abuse where a manipulator makes someone or a race or a group's sexual orientations to question their own reality, their memory, their sanity, their perceptions in order for the manipulator to gain power and control. For gaslighting to be an effective tool, victims often develop a behavior response characterized by fear, which acts as a significant motivator. In tough situations, it is the behavior of fear which often drives our actions more than love does. Every animal possesses fear, an instinct provided by nature to ensure the survival of the species. Now, when that fear disappears, so does survival. I grew up in a small southeastern Oklahoma town under the laws of racial segregation, and many black individuals, most noticeably females who believed they were unlovely and to feel valued or attractive. Each night, an individual might attach a clothespin to their nose, hoping to narrow it, apply bleaching cream to lighten the facial skin, and engage in other avenues to make corrections, hoping to be accepted and respected by the most populated community, the Caucasian race. People were gaslighted into thinking less of themselves because of their features. So how will this nation come to have only one fruitful race by the target year 2050? Well, an influential leader who is able to feel the pulse of those who feel deprived will have little trouble in manipulating the rage of another community. People, wouldn't you be better off if your country embraces only one race, the Caucasian race, the most populated race, the most productive race? And know this, the government spends your hard-earned tax money on programs to benefit people who are lazy, violent, drug users, receive unneeded welfare, have babies out of wedlock, all due to the government's giveaway program called affirmative action. Now, this approach is effective in persuading those who feel they are being treated differently to become indifferent towards others they believe are the reason. So, our first step to accomplish the goal of having a superb nation with only one race is to underscore the Black community, who are thought to be society's most troublesome citizens, preventing America from having an inclusive community where entitlements aren't needed and public safety isn't a concern. Well, a possible solution to solve the dilemma and overburden of the Black community is to re-examine the Constitution, abolish the 14th and 15th Amendments, granting citizenship to those born in America, and prohibit federal and state governments from denying a citizen the right to vote based on race or color. However, after decades of racial separation, limited voting privileges, unfair housing, and nullifying many other opportunities, the Black community remains a public liability to society by not complying with rules. Thus, a difficult and unpleasant decision is made. The Black community is relocated to less populated states, i.e. Montana, the Dakotas, and this can be comparable to those encountered by Native American communities. Other races are deported to various countries. However, the nation is not yet absolute. So during the 55 years of searching for a complete nation, an individual is elected to office and decides they are the solution to establishing a righteous nation. So step 2 is implemented. To ensure they are elected to office, the gay community is the center focus to gain support from the conservative Christian communities whose thoughts about gay individuals are overwhelmingly disapproval and turning to the Old Testament to satisfy their conscience. Now, voters, because of the sexual orientations of the homosexual communities, our nation is doomed for failure. They engage in all sorts of sexual activities. They encourage our decent young people to disregard the legal vows of marriage and participate in same-sex relationships. Soon, God will discontinue to bless our Christian nation. So, a proposed solution to please some segments of society and their unproven beliefs about gay individuals The gay community will be ticketed with a fine of $1,000 each time they're seen in public displaying affections. Repeated public exposure will force individuals into shock treatment, as was done in the early 1900s, but without results, rather asinine. Now, achieving an absolute nation by 2050 has not yet been accomplished. Thus, step 3 is considered essential for advancing the country's development strategies. The target: cigarette smokers who are believed to overwhelmingly contribute to increased health issues, lose work days, and higher government costs, because smokers are often uninsurable. So a possible solution with regard to cigarette consumption: cigarettes are prohibited from store sales. Anyone caught smoking will have a fine of $500. Well, could adopt the country of Singapore's rules regarding smoking. If an individual smokes in public, indoors or outdoors, a fine of upward of $1,000 is assessed. Step 4 is implemented and focuses on senior citizens whose longevity has exceeded expectations, drawing attention to concerns regarding their contribution levels. The increasing population of older citizens may contribute to higher expenditures, notable debt, and present considerable challenges for families. A solution to eliminate or mitigate this situation of having the older community as an unacceptable challenge is to dismantle care programs, i.e., Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and other incentives which are thought of as charitable programs. So the government will transition to private medical insurers. Unlike Medicare and Medicaid, private insurance providers do not cover individuals with pre-existing conditions, i.e., hypertension, diabetes, overweightness, smokers. Older individuals, even those in their 80s, often undergo hip replacement surgery, soon followed by knee replacement. An organ transplant may cost between $100,000 and upward really of $1 million. Now consider this. If 10 to 15 million seniors utilize many of these medical procedures, the country will be in jeopardy of monetary stability. Health insurers will consider these medical procedures unnecessary and contributing to excessive costs, especially given the likelihood of passing away within a year or two. The eligibility age for Social Security benefits will be adjusted for ages 65 to 75, reducing costs since fewer people are expected to pass away right after reaching 75. Individuals believe they are paid for these programs and can use them whenever they wish. However, their contributions are minimum compared to the benefits received. With 2050 approaching, America continues to confront both moral and economical challenges. A leading conservative candidate seeking the nation's highest office pledges stricter measures to make America both prosperous and respected globally. So, step 5 is implemented. The target: terminally ill children. Now, they know this approach will be a challenge to society's morality. Nevertheless, it has been concluded that caring for terminally ill children presents a significant economic challenge to the country's physical stability. The care for treating terminally ill children, who often undergo various experimental drug treatments, which cost billions and are not insurable by medical insurance providers, and it must be paid by the government. Healthcare insurers determine that experimental drugs costing upward of $15,000 per treatment is not justified by their effectiveness and thus will not be covered. Many children with cancer experience a recurrence of their illness within a few years. So a difficult solution for children with terminal health conditions is to humanely euthanize them, while paying families an empathetic amount of money, and mothers must undergo treatment that will prevent future births. Now, approaching 2050, aiming for a more unified society, a renowned anthropologist theorizes their plan will ensure the country will not be burdened with inferior intelligence, thus ensuring future acumen and unemployment and entitlements will not be needed. So, step 6 is implemented. The solution: the government must target women with measured low intelligence and will be prohibited from having offspring by either consenting or by forced sterilization. But students, how can the notion of becoming an ideal nation by 2050, our target date of obtaining an absolute society, be steered away from racial and social indifference and dismissing those who vow their thesis is honorable and ensuring equal virtues and equal opportunities for all citizens of this nation? Eldridge Cleaver, a former civil rights activist, states in his 1968 autobiography, Soul on Ice, and I'm going to quote, "You either have to be part of the solution or you're going to be part of the problem." Quote close. I add, if society neglects the consequences of mistreating citizens and fails to address immorality, it has little grounds to bemoan. If you claim that you are righteous because you have not harmed or sinned against anyone, thus you believe that you are magnanimous, well, this does not imply immorality. Rather, it indicates a lack of empathy, and such disengagement from efforts to better society can be considered equally concerning, as revealed by Elie Wiesel, a Holocaust survivor and author also, and other humanitarians agree with this. A house cannot be constructed without those who contribute their expertise, just as a home cannot thrive or succeed without the involvement of the residents. Students, my lectures haven't been to influence your personal beliefs. It is your moral conscience that decides what is right or what is wrong. Not even your faith. It is your conscience. After considering the potential consequences that may befall individuals of integrity, you will choose to address issues related to immorality and indifference. Please make an effort to understand cultures and communities before making a judgment. To do so, strengthen your character. Pursue moral services as a resolute. Thank you.